Sorry, buddy.
Okay.
We're
My
back.
fault.
And with that, Dwayne, if you do the invocation.
Lord, we thank you for this day, God. We thank you for your mercy. We thank you for your grace, God. We ask you to watch over our meeting list, make decisions with the best interests of our children, God, for our teachers, God, our staff, God, and ask you to watch over us and just bless our county, Lord, and just slow this thing down a little bit. Give some people some wisdom, Lord. Just bless us. We ask you to do it in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
of America, for which it stands, one nation, indivisible.
liberty and justice for all. So, the echo was hard to handle.
Couple seconds behind.
Okay. We're not mic'd up. Sorry. Okay. Seems like it's been a month since last meeting, but it was last Friday. Been a whole lot of things happened since then. So, with that, the first item is to approve the minutes of the November 10th meeting. Anybody have any modifications to the minutes of the November 10th meeting?
I do not.
Okay, what about the November 24th special meeting, which was last Friday? Okay, if I could have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Mr. Bailey?
4.
Ms. Puckett? Mr. Buttrey?
4.
Mr. Shepherd?
4. The attendance report as of November, we've documented 664 students, which is 21 less than last year. And I'm sure the principals will be talking to us, giving us more information on that. Financial reports, both income and spending are doing well. The forecast for the year is, she does a rolling forecast. It came in at 96% this month. So spending is in line. The CARES money of the $300,000 that we got from the county, we have it all earmarked and paperwork coming in, and looks like that's going very well. And hopefully we'll have some long-term benefits as well as short-term benefits from that. Next item is return to school. I'd like to talk a little bit about that. We want to discuss just kind of what's going on. And for this, I'm going to drop my mask just a little bit so I can be a little clearer. As we said, we met last Friday trying to determine the proper path forward, and we've had to change since then. As of Friday, Bland County had 216 cases. Today, Bland County is at 304 cases. So it's escalated very fast. I want you to know from the board standpoint, yesterday was really a sad day for us because we feel that it's our responsibility to provide a good education in the county, and we know that the virtual education is not the same quality as in-school education. So, you know, we hated to have to make this decision, but I want everybody to understand exactly how it was made. You know, we've all gotten a lot of input from citizens, some to stay in, some to, you know, go virtual. But that's, you know, while we take that very seriously, that's not how the decisions are made. Back when discussions were taking place as to what this school year was going to look like, various protocols were put in place. And those protocols started out with the hybrid learning that we did, with certain things that had to be met in order to go to in-house learning. But there was also things in those protocols that said if these things happen, we have to go virtual. And We've worked very closely with the health department. Mr. Mead talks to them almost constantly, and especially in the last few days, and multiple levels in the health department. And I have to say that they've done a marvelous job working with us. But the data basically said that, looking at the protocols in place, that it was time to go to remote learning. And really what the definition of why we went to remote learning and what the protocol was that the protocol called that when Bland County Public Schools became a source of infection, the schools would be moved to virtual. And as of yesterday, we found out, because of various cases, that we were a potential source of infection. So that was the decision, and the only question in the thing was, could we have kept the high school open? Because the source of infection, while I won't say it was zero, was much lower than it was at the elementary school. The elementary school was no question we were going to shut it down. But there was enough reason and enough risk that we decided, especially at this time in the school year, that the best thing we could do was to shut all of it down for the remainder of the calendar year. Like I say, we received a lot of input. Some of it was, I'll say, a little personal in their approach. Some people think that's the best way to make their case. Experience has shown me that seldom works. And we, like I said, we do take input very much to heart. But the key was basically the protocols we had put in place, and we felt we had a solid process of when we moved and how we moved. And we will continue to use that same process as we make decisions as to when we go back to school. And so towards the end of the year, and we've even talked about adding some steps as to asking people, where they've been, what their risk is, and possibly even asking tests to be taken. But the definition is the same. We've got to make sure that our buildings, our facilities are not a source of infection. So right now, our hope is that after Christmas break, that the data will show that we can go back to the mode we were in, the 4-day-a-week mode that we were in before we had to make this decision yesterday. And I know it's a lot of jumping through hoops for everybody, and appreciate everybody's effort. Like I say, if at all possible, we want to be in-house. There was a study that just came out in the last few days that said the report cards in the first part of this school year that had one F in the report card had essentially doubled throughout the country from last year. That virtual education, as we're currently doing it, is not working. It's not that it can't work, but the kind of crash course in virtual education that we've all had to go through is not working. And we know it does work better in some of the higher grades. The younger ones really struggle with it, but that's why we feel we've got to do more work as to defining how virtual education is done, the responsibilities of everybody, including students, parents, teachers, administration, so that we can do a better job of that. Because I do believe that virtual education will not go away after this is over. It's established enough now and ingrained enough, and hopefully we can get better at it and make it another resource for the school system. So like I say, that's how the decision was made, and we became a source of infection, a potential source of infection. And we'll be looking at things hard towards the end of Christmas break to decide what's the right way to start back up. With that, any other comments from the board that you'd like to add? Okay, principals, let's start with elementary. They don't believe me? Let's start with high school.
Let's do it. Thank you guys for letting us be here. First and foremost, Megan is back home from the hospital, and we're just glad that she's getting better. It'll be a slow process, but we're ecstatic that she's back, at least in the county. Bonnie Lundy has stepped into that long-term sub position with the help of first-year teacher Jesse Bailey and all the teachers up in Building B have really helped Bonnie learn the in-person and virtual aspect of it. That's not an easy thing to do for someone who just walks into it. So we are so appreciative of her and everybody that's helped out with that. Attendance, the high school, we've got 336 as of today. I believe that's one more than we had last meeting. So we're fortunate for that. Before today, 91 students were virtual, either by their own choice or by quarantine. Yesterday, that number was above 100, but we got several kids back from quarantine, roughly about 13 kids back. So we were excited about that. Student and staff activity, I'm sure Charlie will touch on some of the things that they've been doing. Beta, Toys for Tots, they've been able to collect a lot of donations for that. Yearbook disbursement from last year, Ms. Leftwich has led that up. That has went as seamless as it can be. We still have some that are for sale, and anyone that's interested in that can get with Ms. Leftwich. Also, the fundraiser that the county put on for Megan, we were able to contribute several $100s to that. Drops in the bucket, but we were ecstatic to be able to contribute in some form to that. Extracurriculars and athletics, of course, those are on hold now, but before today, MAC was gearing up, led by Ashley Sexton. We had some new faces in that MAC department. Joe Shirey, Brooke Hall are taking over Megan's positions in English and social studies, and Ricky Blevins will be our new math MAC coach. Robotics has a new home near the newly furnished band room. Miss Carter's old drama room is now our robotics room. Marilyn Fortner and Ruth Ann Cole have been leading that and holding practices, of course, until today. Athletics piece, all of our winter teams were ready to go. We had our first official practice yesterday, but of course that is on the back burner as of now. Academics, teachers are working day and night to try to reach kids that are underperforming. It's several. Way into the wee hours of the morning sometimes we'll get emails that, they're working around the clock to try to get these kids to some form of accountability, but being able to understand the concepts. So we're appreciative to that. It's not 100%, but they're not stopped working. It's really amazing what they're doing. The last 8 days here, into next week, we had exams scheduled. We're developing a plan now to be able to distribute the material to the kids with no internet. We've got some meetings that we're going to come together and try to figure out what's the best plan of action now that in-person is not an option. So we want to be fair and equitable to everybody. JDM and maintenance, that's been a hit all year. We have had some things at the high school come up that got resolved, maybe not as quick as we'd like, but things like that take time. When you're dealing with an older building with heat and electricity, and people have been patient with us, and JDM has moved quickly, so we're appreciative of that. About 90% of our issues the past week have been resolved, and they're still working. They were there working today, so we're extremely appreciative of that. Student discipline and, most important, safety. Students are getting more comfortable. Anytime that happens, you can run into some added difficulty, but we haven't had any glaring instances of out-of-school suspensions or anything like that. They do a good job with their classroom management, and kids are responding well to what we have in place there. State Police and Mr. Ramsey, Sheriff's Department, they've dropped in several times to do some random checks with us. We have had some hiccups with some doors not being locked, but we're working to make sure that doesn't happen. So we're really appreciative of that, and Sheriff Ramsey's commitment to our school safety. So, any questions for me?
I know we talked about it, it's probably been a couple, maybe last year or something, the sinks in the building B. I know those are all geared for kids, like,
Shorter?
yeah, like kindergarten
Right.
kids. Have you ever talked to JDM about possibly getting those raised up, or
I haven't, but that can be something
we
we
might check and see if it's possible, so. I know we talked about it some time ago, but,
can do that easily.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Greetings from the faculty, staff, and students at Blaine County Elementary School. What I planned to talk about yesterday morning has sort of changed since then. So, still adjusting those notes as I go, but definitely a change of course going into the end of the semester, where we had a lot of celebrations about a successful first semester, which it still has been. It just looks very different right now. And the idea of getting some assessments done prior to going into the winter break, we could sort of assess to see where our students were with the instruction that's taken place, specifically those who were in person learning at that point. Changes lots of things for my faculty at this point. We were going into last week, specifically Thursday and Friday, with a silver lining related to COVID, because we were getting excellent communication from our families if they had concerns. And that's a piece I continued to reiterate to Mr. Mead last week, is that, when a family has a concern and we have a concern, that communication is solid. And then with the health department's assistance, we were able to fill in any gaps and get those taken care of pretty quickly. Basically, a very small situation where if you don't know you're sick, you don't know you're sick. And that can very quickly impact a lot of people, 337 students, in fact, very quickly. And so from where we were yesterday morning to where we were today, things look very different. And it's a frustrating process, especially for our faculty who have a lot of ambition moving into these last 2 weeks before break. But we're kind of working through that. I'll be able to speak with them tomorrow and the day after to kind of get some of that instruction set. But those major concerns, the bulk of the contact tracing, we've assisted Virginia Department of Health in getting some of that completed. We have pretty good rapport with our families, so I'm able to go through that. Have not been able to share all that information with our faculty for several reasons. One, these are HIPAA situations. So while it may be known for some folks where that initial concern came up, sharing that with contact with everybody else is really nobody else's business except for those who were in contact. So I spent the majority of the day touching base with faculty via email and then calling a whole bunch of families in the community. And they were very responsive to that. Ms. Webb at the health department was very receptive to what we were doing to get those concerns shared. And basically, it's to be on the lookout for any possible symptoms for their children at that point, and then anything we can do to assist in giving them resources as we move forward. So it's a lot of concern and acting out of an abundance of caution as we move forward. We did see some attendance dips following Thanksgiving, and in addition with those attendance dips, that was some students moving into virtual temporarily. We did see an increase on families requesting to go to virtual at that time as well too. I think they were monitoring the numbers themselves and what they were comfortable with. It was nice to be able to have that option for them as they move forward. I really would like to commend the health department for their assistance as we move through this and as we continue. I've talked to them twice today, in addition, that we are able to kind of follow up and fill in any gaps to keep both our faculty and students and community safe. Instruction moving forward is obviously the challenging part, and now that we're able to put some of the concerns with contacting folks past us and move forward, and the bulk of that is completed, those are the discussions I'll start having with my faculty about how do we transition, because this will look nothing like, and the expectations will be nothing like what they were last spring. This is new instruction. This is not remediation, reteaching pieces. This is new content. And although we're at the end of the semester and that we can sort of keep some of that in place, we still have a pretty ambitious pacing to keep moving forward as we move into next January, and not necessarily knowing our timeline or the situation for cases in the county. We need to continue to be ambitious as we go through our instruction. The Wagner project is actually moving forward. Was able to confirm with the group for the sound system that they will still honor the quote. And so I'm going to try to get them in as quickly as possible to start moving forward and look at some of the other pieces that can be taken care of within. What's that?
Holidays? Could they do that over the Christmas?
They've
shutdown?
not confirmed that yet. They just wanted to talk money first, and then we'll talk timeline.
Okay.
So, but we at least got a response back from them after the holiday. And then once again, maintenance and custodial has been ideal for us. We've had some changes in personnel, just for the way life is at times. And new folks coming in and learning the ropes. There've been some hiccups, but that's nothing that can't be taught. They support each other, and we support them, and they're able to support our students and faculty. So where we have concerns, we take care of those very quickly and are able to move forward. So it's worked really well for us. Any other additional questions?
With the schools being closed, it actually gives flexibility for the projects we were doing in the cafeteria and the kitchen. Have they contacted you about getting keys to
They did call, yes. They did call.
I'm comfortable with them if you can give them some kind of access. Hopefully, I mean, their goal is to have all this done before the first of the year.
Okay. So specifically cafeteria, correct?
Cafeteria, kitchen, and, as far as the auxiliary building, they somewhat have to coordinate with the other construction going on
Yeah.
there, but those projects, yes.
Okay. We still have faculty, staff in the building and our health protocols. So when I talked to them today, I said that's going to be our biggest hiccup. Coming and going is not a thing that exists anymore.
Right.
So we do have some gatekeeping to take care of there,
Right.
but they will have access to the building without a problem.
I think the cafeteria will be easy. The kitchen might be a little tougher what they've got to do in there, but main thing, as long as, we're working together with them. We put in air filtration units, some high-tech stuff here in this building because of problems that we knew existed in this building, and hopefully we'll get some good responses from that.
Can't you breathe that fresh air? Just
Gosh.
take a deep breath.
Mine's still there.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Do we have anything from Ms. Tate? Or,
Denise sent this to me this evening. She says, we have had 12 help desk tickets, 11 from internal and 1 external ticket, ranging from internet issues, Chromebook will not power on, software not working, needs updating, Chromebook battery issues, projector bulb and cable replaced. Most tickets are complete. Waiting on parts for Chromebooks needing repair. Students are issued a loaner Chromebook while theirs is being repaired. Mr. Meady and I attended a Zoom meeting November 19th with the folks with Bland Pulaski Broadband Assessment to get an understanding of our current internet needs. Per Dr. Workman, as of December 4th, Bland County had 644 online survey responses, and we're hoping to get 700 by Monday. Would be about 20% of the households in Bland County. This far exceeds the response rate goal of 100 participants. She goes on to say, I've been working with Laura on December 1st child count report due on Friday, and I have been working on the master schedule collection and the IPAL report, which is due in January.
okay, Ms. Radford?
Pass them out.
Stop.
Thank God you saw it. I pulled it on with you.
Yeah, you're tethered.
I'm just glad you listened to me.
Surprised Joe didn't jump out of his chair.
I have a few things on my list for you at the beginning. I just have some meetings and trainings that I've attended since last meeting. So those are listed there for you. In addition to those, yesterday we held advisory meetings for Title I, SPED, and Gifted. We did those virtually. As Denise mentioned, we have been working on the December 1 child count report that's due on Friday. I've also been collaborating with principals to make sure that we get our Level 1 training on restraint and seclusion completed with all of our personnel, which is required by the VDOE. I'm also working on STEM and Quill end-of-year reports that are going to be due December 21st. And Beth and I have both been working with teachers whose licensure is up in June to make sure they have everything in place so that come January we can start submitting those. So, and that was it for me. Anything? You have any questions?
With
busy.
this virtual, what does that do to you in your role? I mean, does it make it harder, easier, impossible, or?
It makes it possible. A lot of my meetings, of course, like with VDOE, I can't travel to Richmond for those meetings. Even the regional meetings that are held in the region, all of those are virtual now. Very little is in person. My key instructional leader meeting, that one is virtual. So they're very worthwhile because at least we can still communicate. Same thing with the training. I did some training on Virginia IEP, which is the program we use to write IEPs, and so that was good to be able to do that. So it's very, very beneficial.
What about the writing of IEPs and that type of thing? What's it done to that process?
Well, I have a SPED teacher sitting here. He can tell you we're writing and addending a lot of IEPs all the time. So the computer program does kind of help us as far as staying on timelines, keeping track of where we are in the process. But the federal government has not made any waivers for SPED, so we still have timelines that we have to comply with, and really nothing's changed with SPED. We have to just keep on trucking. So,
Okay. Thank you.
okay.
Thanks.
Mr. Mead?
Yes, thank you. I was able to put a turkey in most people's hands during the Thanksgiving break. I hope that everybody enjoyed their turkey. Mine was real good. I'm sorry that some people didn't get one, but I think you got yours the other day, didn't you? So, but it was good. Also, I was able to play Santa Claus and go around and give some well-deserved attention on these with hazard pay to all our employees. I was happy to do that, and I think the employees really appreciated it.
I heard there was some first graders that actually thought you were Santa Claus. I'm just saying. So
Well,
I'm just saying. That was
it was
the
hard
rumor going
to
around.
it was hard to compete with Pam. She had a hat on, and I had a little hat on too, but she could push a button on her hat and it would jump straight up. So the only thing I missed is that I don't have the beard, Dwayne. I've got everything else, the gut and everything, but I think Santa might have had hair too. I don't know. Report from Miss Sarver. She is our nutritional expert here. She's also heads up the Meals on Wheels, which we'll be out and about tomorrow delivering meals. She said our cafeterias at both schools are still showing an increase in participation with the free breakfast and lunch meals for the month of November. Just a reminder that breakfast and lunch will remain free for the remainder of the 2021 school year. and that's a big positive right there for us. Although the decision was made to change to virtual learning yesterday, the school nutrition department will continue to serve our children. We will continue to deliver meals to the children of Bland County ages 18 and under. We will be delivering from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. tomorrow, Wednesday 10th, and on Wednesday, December 16th. We will not deliver meals during the Christmas break. We'll resume deliveries on Wednesday, January the 6th. If you are already receiving delivered meals, no need to take any action. If you'd like to sign your child up for this program, please email Kelly at ksarver@bland.k12.va.us or call her at 276-688-3361. For everyone's protection, we are asking that if you are signed up to receive meals, to please put a cooler or a basket outside your home for us to put the food in. She would like to thank the cafeteria staff for preparing and packaging meal boxes for the kids, and thanks to the bus drivers for delivering the food. Also, thanks to the family for allowing us to serve your children. So that's from Meals on Wheels report, and Kelly. I received a letter from Mount Rogers. I can tell you, in our health district, we have 8 school systems, and right now 7 of them are on full virtual. And with no athletics, we do have one that's still in person, but they only have 4 current cases. So that's where we are right now as far as our health district. I would like to take a moment for us to remember Becky Umberger and Kathy Muncie. Becky's dad, Mr. J.P. Muncie, passed away, and that's also Kathy Muncie's father-in-law. So please remember them today in your thoughts and prayers. I also would like to chip in with JDM. I continue to be very pleased with their work. They're very easy to work with. I will speak to John hopefully tomorrow about the sinks to see if we can do anything maybe over the holidays with them. Also, I'd like to have a shout out for our principals. They have worked extremely hard. Just like the office here, the principals, administration, we have worked long hours, and I appreciate it. It doesn't go unnoticed. Yesterday was a tough day, as tough as I've had. Miss Parker stayed right with me. She worked right alongside with me. We got out of here maybe, 7 o'clock, but I want to give her a big shout out, because without her, I wouldn't have made it through yesterday, I don't think. So thank you, Lenore. I appreciate it. That's all I have, sir.
Pleased to have our student representative. So Charlie, if you'd like to tell us what this school year's like.
Make some changes, but it's inevitable to get through what we have to do. I talked to most of the students regarding the recent decision, and they understand that it's in the best interest for everyone that decision had to take place, and also looking at the bigger picture of how the students' families would be affected if we were to continue in person. With that said, communication is important to make sure that teachers and students are working as one, so that way they can ensure the drop of failing grades does not happen, or we minimize as much as possible. This goes out for anyone watching, and teens, that Virginia 4-H is holding a virtual teen summit. This summit tackles inclusiveness and equity, so subjects as of LGBTQ rights, women's rights, mental health awareness, and a broad set of topics. You don't have to be in 4-H to participate in this summit, but as we say, it's by teens for teens. So we would love to have some increased participation in that, and taking on new leaders to build up on the new solutions that we're coming up with our society. I want to recognize 2 seniors that are in FBLA. They are Kaylee Dunford and Dylan Havens. they participated in the virtual business finance and management. So with the round 1 being concluded, Kaylee placed 2nd overall in the state and 25th overall nationally. Though this does not qualify her for nationals, this was a really great increase compared to last year's competition. And that profits increased up by like $300,000 in the simulation world. So we're really proud of what she's learned through that experience. And as opposed to the personal finance side, this is the first time we've had a student compete in that area. So Dylan Havens also got 2nd overall in the state, 295th overall nationally, but we're learning about the quirks of the personal finance simulation. I participated in the VSBA virtual conference. I think that was before we got out for Thanksgiving. And I'd just like to say amazing, because a lot of the student representatives across the Commonwealth are dealing with similar situations, and I guess you could say we're tackling the similar problems throughout with COVID, including everybody, making sure that we have an increase in participation. And it's really great to actually build those connections and understand the viewpoints from like Hampton Cities, Fairfax, Goochland, all those other great counties. The only thing I have left to say is with graduation coming up, I'm working on an application for student representative candidates. So I'm having a couple of teachers review that application, making sure it's ready to go out once the 2nd semester starts. And we'll see where it goes from there. So thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate the update. Okay, the next item is public comment. I think the first letter probably came in before we went virtual, so but I'll read it anyway, and just understanding that this letter is before the decision was made. Good afternoon. I wanted to reach out to the board members to voice some concerns that I have about the current in-person learning situation. First, I have so enjoyed having my students back in the classroom, despite initial concerns about all the students being back in the classroom. It has been a difficult road with mask mandates and rising COVID concerns. However, the time I have had with my students has, of course, been rewarding. As COVID cases rise and medical professionals have shared their concerns and advice, I'm convinced that it is no longer in our students' best interest to be in the classroom. We have 8 in-person days, including today, December 7th, before Christmas break. That is 8 days of certain exposure to one another and the risk of contracting COVID from one another. Students, their families, and other community members are at risk of spreading this potentially fatal illness. Any death is devastating, but when the potential of death involves a child, it is all the more overwhelming. For any parent, this is the worst thought imaginable, but as an educator, I cannot fathom losing a student for any reason. I think it would be absolutely ridiculous to lose a student to an illness when precautions can be taken to prevent exposure to begin with. Virtual teaching is definitely not my favorite. However, I choose my students' health. I would like to see our board members and anyone else included in this decision to choose my students and their family over any other deciding factor. Thank you for your time, Laura Sage. Next letter. With all the negativity and criticism you're receiving in regards to keeping schools open, I want to take a moment and say thank you for trying to ensure that our children are receiving an in-person education. I appreciate your willingness to think of our children at this time. In keeping this brief, I would also like to make it noted that not all stakeholders share the same opinion of those most vocal at this time. To me, it is only hurting the children by having them go virtual for an indefinite time rather than only having students and staff quarantine when need be. If the need for quarantine arises for my child due to exposure or onset of symptoms, I would much rather have the opportunity to place my child in virtual learning until the health department deems it safe to return to school. Parents that do not wish to have their children in the school setting can simply remain virtual. Again, I appreciate all you do for our children. Kelly Shelton. Good evening. I want to take this time to thank Bland County Public Schools for making the responsible decision to send its students virtual for the remainder of the semester. With the growth and spread of the virus in the county, it is best to be proactive and protect our students, parents, teachers, and staff from contracting this virus due to school exposure. While we can't control what people do outside of school, we can control choosing not to have the school as a vessel in which the virus can spread. I appreciate each of you, and I'm glad it was decided to take the advice of the Mount Rogers Health District and complete the remainder of the year virtually. Thank you all. Megan Brinkley. Okay, and then we have one in person, Josh May.
Y'all all right? Good, good. You know, usually when I get up here and I talk to you, I'll talk to you as a single teacher or as a parent. But tonight I'm representing the Bland County Education Association. First, we would like to thank you for the hazard pay that we received. It really is greatly appreciated. After your all's meeting, and we had a meeting yesterday as well, things changed a little bit. So some of this is kind of rehash of what you've already talked about. But on Monday, we had a meeting, and the majority of our members agreed that it was in the best interest of our students and faculty to err on the side of caution and to go virtual for our learning plan. The best education, as you all have stated, and as many of our members stated in our meeting the other day, that the best education for students is definitely in person. But clearly right now, according to the recommendation of the Virginia Health Department, it may not be the safest way of giving an education. We know that as a community, everyone will step up and do their part as educators, parents, and guardians to make sure that students continue to excel. We ask that everyone do their part to encourage students to work hard, even in these troubling times. If one life was lost because we put socialization, class time, sports, or even adequate food ahead of safety, that cost would be too high. So we want to thank you for considering the health and well-being of our students, our families, and our faculty when you placed us on virtual. It has been a continuing struggle in the school to get substitutes for our faculty and staff, especially now that several of our faculty have been quarantined. We would like to ask the board to consider moving to virtual until January the 14th. This would allow people to have planning and to understand when we're coming back, and it would give you time to also assess what the COVID cases are like after Christmas break, assuming that our cases will keep going or slow down, or there could even be a resurgence after Christmas break. Another consideration that we have discussed is that we need clear and effective communication. Many announcements that are made on separate platforms, some made on the website, some made on Remind, some of them made on Facebook. With that being said, that limits who receives it. We're asking that you consider making announcements on all of those, especially for meetings and special meetings. Though Facebook is good, I know that a lot of families have Remind as well. Again, we appreciate your consideration for the well-being of our students and our faculty by placing us on virtual. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move into the action agenda.
Do you want the school board?
Oh, that's right.
I'd like you to
Sorry, I
have a
cut you
board.
short here. We'll start with the invisible one.
I'm here. Hey, I just want to say I appreciate everybody. I know every person that is in our educational organization in Blaine County is doing their absolute best work in order to provide our students the best education that we can in these times. I just want to say I appreciate you, whether you're in the cafeteria serving a meal or whether you are answering the phone, or whether you're working with students one-on-one each day, in person or virtual. And I just, I just want you to hear that from me tonight as well. I know that we don't have a planned meeting coming up before then, but I hope that everybody has a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year as we go forward. And just want to say thank you to everybody.
Thank you. Sharon?
I just want to say thanks to all the students for all of their hard work. I know they're having to work harder being virtual or whatever, and I know it's hard, and these days are supposed to be the best days of your life. High school days are. So anyway, and I just appreciate all the hard work that you all do, Charlie. It's really nice to see somebody like you. All the teachers for their endless hours, like Mr. Tyler, Mr. Esep said. I mean, it's just that they work endless hours, and it's a thankless job most of the time, but I really appreciate everything that they do. The principals and the secretaries and cafeteria workers, bus drivers, custodians, anybody. It's a hard time, and maybe sometimes we don't make the right decisions, but it's the best we can do. And I want to say I hope everybody has a happy, safe, and healthy holiday season. And thanks again from the bottom of my heart.
Just, reiterating everything that was said. Appreciate the staff and the principals and the teachers and bus drivers. The decisions we make, we have two stakeholders. We have the kids, but we also have the staff, and those are the two most important people when we make decisions that we think of. So those are the two most important people that we have. So we appreciate everything that they've done. I hate it for the kids, and unfortunately, the responsible people are the adults. These are the people that's brought most of this on, the people that's not been responsible in social distancing, and they're traveling, and they're wearing their mask, and now our kids are the ones that are paying the price for this, and I hate this. And so, for whoever sees it on YouTube, Facebook, or whatever, this Christmas, the next couple of weeks, tighten your belt up and do the responsible thing. Quit being selfish. Think about some other people. Think about the kids. Think about our teachers, and do what's right. I know I don't like wearing a mask. I dislike it. I don't like having to do it, but I do it. So, and for the teachers, if you don't hear from a kid in a couple of days and you haven't seen work from them, and reach out to them. I know that you're doing that, but I've heard comments that said that I haven't seen anything from this kid in several weeks. I know that you're trying and they're doing, but next 2 weeks are going to be tough for them. I know there's exams, and I appreciate Tyler and talking about they're going to be getting the material to the kids that don't have the internet and stuff. Just do everything you can for the kids, because as Sharon said, this is for especially the high schoolers, this is the best days of their life. These seniors, this is the last go around they have, and we don't want to see them fail. I mean, I've seen too many teachers talk about, we've got kids that are failing that's never failed before. So I know we're doing all we can, but I wish we had tons of money to be able to give out for the hazard pay. I wish we had tons more to be able to do it because of everything that's going on and all the work that everybody's doing. Everybody's doing additional work, and it's not just in school systems, it's all the way around. It's almost every business and industry. So again, just for the people during these next couple of weeks of holidays, be responsible, quit being selfish and do the right thing, and let's try to slow this down so our kids can get back in school. So,
I think the most frustrating thing has been the day-to-day uncertainty. Like I say, it seems like since Friday it's been a month when we talked about things here. And the lack of being able to share things socially. And I think the students are really suffering from that, especially the small students that love to be hugged and, pile up in a pile like a bunch of puppies, So it's been tough on everybody, and it's easy to end up with a short temper or ready to accuse. But like I say, I know everybody's working extremely hard. Everybody's trying to do the best for the students and be safe. And right now, we've got a very scary thing with what's going on at the prison farm, because they've got massive infection down there. And, you know, where in most businesses you would say, well, go home and quarantine yourself. They can't send all their guards and stuff home and say, go quarantine yourself. So their workers are still working among that, which means there's a large chance that they're going to be infected, and they're going to spread it further in the community. So I feel for all of them, and have a young man that works for me who was asked to do something down there that he knew was high risk, and he said he wouldn't do it. Basically, he was told that his job depended on it. He did it. He came down with COVID. He has 2 little girls, and so they've got a very tough environment down there, and it's I'll say it is having an impact on the county and the school system. So we've got a tough period here. Hopefully, if people, I'll say, behave well over Christmas, maybe a lot of it can pass through, and we can come back and start the year off and have the kind of year that students think will like to remember, put it that way. Okay, now I'll go to approved payments. Any questions or modifications on the payments?
None.
If I could have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve payments.
Mr. Bailey?
4.
Ms. Puckett? 4. Mr. Petrie?
4.
Mr. Shepherd?
4. Okay, O&M projects. Like I said, I think we've got virtually everything lined up for this CARES money. I think we'll end up with some nice facility improvements out of that. We do have one item left that does qualify for CARES, and that actually goes into the final payment on redoing the band room. And it covers the removal of the old tile, the removal of the wall, the sheetrock, the painting, the underlayment of the floor, the shoe mold, various things there. And that's for $14,680. And like I say, that will come out of the CARES money. If I could have a motion to approve that.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Second. Mr. Bailey?
4.
Ms. Puckett? 4. Mr. Petrie?
4.
Mr. Shepherd?
4. The next item is COVID-19 leave. I know there's a document that's been handed to us.
There should be a document in your packet that says employee statement for COVID-19 leave, and it's a sick leave protection form. And if you've read over it, we need to have your approval to use these forms when a person has to be quarantined or is out because of the infection. So if you don't have any questions with it, I would recommend we adopt this form. Right now, we have nothing other than we get an email that somebody's out. And it'd be a good paper trail, and it protects the employee and protects us as well.
And helps payroll too.
And
knowing
helps
what's going
payroll,
on.
yeah.
If I could have a motion to approve the form.
I'll make a motion to approve the form.
Second.
4.
4.
4.
4.
Fast.
We need to set the date and time for an organizational meeting. While there were no elections this year, we change the assignments every year, or evaluate the assignments. When is the first day of school back per the calendar?
Is it the 5th or 4th?
5th.
It's the
That's
5th.
for students, though, in the fourth.
Yeah, for students, the 5th. It's for, I guess, for teachers, the 4th, which is a Monday. Is that right?
Do we want to do the Monday?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to do it as soon as possible, even if we have to do it the last week in December. We've got the seat
do your organizational meeting.
in January, so I would
January.
like to do it as that 4th if we could, so we can make some decisions, and if we extend it, or
We could celebrate New Year's here and then just do it straight over.
Yeah, we could do it
Have a
on,
party.
I don't wanna do it, it'd have to be New Year's Eve. I don't wanna be around people on New Year's Day.
I'm good with the 4th. It's usually not that long of a meeting, so.
Okay, it probably will be a little longer this year because we'll be looking at,
Right, yeah, okay,
Probably will have to schedule 2 meetings,
Yeah.
organizational and a special meeting.
right.
okay, let's do both of them on the 4th. Want to do organizational at 5 and special at 6?
That's good for me.
Well, could we do 5, is there organizational, is it gonna last that long?
It's gonna last
You can-
an hour.
No, you probably
No,
do 5 and
there's a-
5:30.
Yeah, I'd
it's
say
pretty
5.
much a form you read, and you
Yeah.
guys will elect whoever.
I think 5 and 5:30 would be fine, would you?
That's fine with
Unless you
me.
wanna, is that okay?
You might have a big acceptance speech.
We have 3 minutes.
Yeah, you have 3 minutes is all you're allowed, sorry.
Okay,
So I'll make a motion that on January the 4th at 5, we have an organizational meeting. And then at 5:30, we have a special meeting.
Second.
Mr. Bailey?
4?
Ms. Puckett?
4.
Mr. Buttrey?
4.
4.
Mr. Shepherd?
Okay, personnel recommendations.
In your packet, I think, did you add the retirements in there?
It's a separate action.
Yeah,
Okay, within the recommendations are the 2 long-term subs.
yes, that's the personal recommendation.
I would like to recommend that we accept the 2 long-term subs that's listed in your packet, but these people won't start until we get back till we restart school,
Okay. In-person school or?
In-house school.
in person.
So their
basically.
contract would start with
Yep.
the day we go in-house.
Yeah.
And then after that, whether we're in-house or not, it continues on, but it
Right.
starts with the first day in-house.
So I'll make a motion to accept the 2 full-time subs, with it being the start date when we start back the in-house school.
Second.
Mr. Bailey?
4?
Ms. Puckett?
4.
Mr. Buttrey?
4.
Mr. Shepherd?
4. And I think we have 2 retirements being requested.
And that effective date for retirement is December 31st, is that right for both of them?
Yeah.
If I could have a motion for that?
I'll make a motion to accept both resignations, retirement.
Second.
Mr.
Second.
Bailey?
4.
Mr. Buttrey?
4.
Ms. Puckett?
4.
4.
Okay, that completes the agenda. If I could have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Mr. Bailey?
4.
Ms. Puckett?
4.
Mr. Buttrey?
4.
Mr. Shepherd?
4. Thank you, everybody, for coming.